we're just gonna fold this open. So you gotta break ribs. It's okay. It's the only time you'll ever actually feel well, unless you're, you know. It's okay. It's not alive. Sorry. I can't feel it. There we go.
I'm good.
You got it. You got it. I'm almost done. There.
I'm not nervous. My only condition.
This one is gonna, there we go. Okay, so I've now opened up the thoracic cavity and I've got diaphragm here still intact, so I didn't cut through it. And then what we're gonna do now is we're gonna open up the abdominal cavity in kind of the same way. So we're just making windows so we can pull it open and we can see everything. Okay. So again, just take your scissors. If you want to, you can use this hole here and just cut it open right there. I don't like to. I like to have like symmetry. There we go. Okay. And we're just going to cut a window in this the same way, but we want to keep the diaphragm alive. So then I'm going to cut down on the sides. Ooh, fatty. There. So here's my diaphragm. Right. Do I care about it? No, never have before. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now we've got thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. Everything's exposed. And so far he looks nice, which is good. Or she. That was a she this time. Sorry. Okay. I'm gonna grab this one. This is why they're in plastic, because then I can rinse them off. Okay. So let's see here what we can see. In the first box on the K. Devlin sheet, it's all the coelom. Okay. And then I think, I don't know what all of, like, people who weren't in my lab, what your lab instructors taught you. But I taught you guys about the parietal and the visceral serosa. Remember those? The parietal serosa was lining the epithelium, the epidermis. That's what it is. It was lining epidermis, and then the visceral serosa was lining the gut tube, right? Okay. It's just like that on the inside here, but they have. It's not called serosa. Each region has a specific name. Okay. So up here in the thoracic cavity, we have the visceral and parietal pleura. So parietal pleura lines the body wall up here. Okay. And the visceral pleura is lining the lungs. Okay. What's going on the heart is a little different, and I'm not sure. Yeah, I need to cut open the heart too. And we'll look at the heart. So we'll do a heart in a second, okay? But for now, we've got parietal pleura lining the walls, okay. Visceral pleura lining the lungs itself. Okay. And then down in the abdomen, we have parietal peritoneum lining the body wall, and visceral peritoneum is lining all of the guts. Okay. And these two structures are homologous. So parietal pleura, parietal peritoneum are homologous structures. Visceral pleura, and visceral peritoneum are homologous structures. Okay. Let's see. Oh, then mesenteries. Do you guys remember the dorsal mesentery and the ventral mesentery? So we actually get to see what those structures have become. He's really fuming on the inside. Okay. If we look at the liver here, so we've got our diaphragm, and I'll turn it around so you guys can see it. Let's look at my eye. If we pull down on the liver, can you see this little clear thing right there attaching the liver to the diaphragm? Mm-hmm. You see that? That's the falciform ligament, and this falciform ligament is made of ventral mesentery. Okay. So this is ventral mesentery here. So it's that little clear thing right there. This thing right there attaching the liver to the diaphragm, that's falciform ligament. It's made of ventral mesentery. Okay. So on an exam, I could ask you, what is the structure? Or I could ask you, what structure was this in an embryo? Okay. And in an embryo, it was ventral mesentery. Okay. Hello. Okay. Now, everybody see this? Ooh, this one's good. You guys all see this thing here? Mm-hmm. This is called the greater omentum. Oh, his guts are tiny. Okay. This is greater omentum. Greater omentum is made of dorsal mesentery. And this is that thing that, well, both women and men have it too. But in women, we don't get as much fat deposit here because we have to be able to carry babies. And if we've got a huge amount of fat built up right here, then we can't also make more space to have a baby, right? But in men, this is where a lot of their fat deposits go to. So if you see those guys that are like, got the giant beer belly, right? It's all in there. It's really gross, okay? And then they'll tell you, oh, it's all muscle, right? And you can like hit it and it's hard. And that's because what muscles are right here? Your abdominals, right? The abdominal muscles are lying right over the top of it. So yes, you are hitting muscle, but underneath it really is just all gross fat. Okay. So this is dorsal mesentery. Okay. It's the greater omentum. In an embryo, it was dorsal mesentery. And then there's also a lesser omentum. And lesser omentum is kind of sitting on top of the stomach. And I'll turn it around so you guys can see too. But can you see there's this bit right here? Okay. That's lesser omentum. And lesser omentum is made of ventral mesentery. Okay. So both the falciform ligament and the lesser omentum are both ventral mesentery. Okay, so it's this little guy right there. This is what happens in 224. I have to turn my cat around repeatedly. So this right here, that's lesser omentum. Oh. Move this right here. It's okay. Alrighty, let's see. Mesenteries. Okay, so let's do thoracic cavity. So we've got lungs. We've got right and left lungs. And then there's this space right here in between the heart, or sorry, in between the lungs. It's a space where the heart is sitting. And that space is called the mediastinum or the mediastinum. You can call it either one. The mediastinum is just the space where the heart is sitting. Okay, so there's just this gap in between the lungs, and that gap is called the mediastinum. Okay, so all of this is the heart, and his heart's fatty. And what you want to do when you've got your heart here, there's gonna be a bunch of fat and stuff lining your heart. See how I can just rip this right off? You guys want to just get all of this off of here. So just gently pull it off. And you'll actually pull off this little glob of weird brown fat. Okay. And that's actually the thymus gland. We're going to pull that right off of the heart too. So I'm just going to get as much of this fat off of here as I can. It's really gross. You'll probably have dried blood in there too. That's gushy, dried blood. All of this is dried blood right here. Or congealed blood. It's gross. I know it. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to dissect the heart out of its pericardium. Okay. So, there's an important thing we need to make sure that we find before we get the heart out. This is super fuming. Running along both sides of the... Oh, jeez. Can you guys smell it? Or, like, feel it burning your eyes? Somebody wanna... Here,